Cat Called Waverly by Debbie Glory. Read to you today by Gammy. This is a story of a cat called Waverly. Born in a park, Waverly learned how to hunt, how to run from danger, and how to make friends. Lots of friends. Every day, Waverly had breakfast with a postman in Morningside, lunch with old Mrs. McLennan and her kiddies in Corteston, afternoon tea with the soldiers at the castle. But best of all, supper, a hug and a warm bed for the night with his best friend Donald. This happy life went on for many years until one day, Donald had to go far, far away. So far away that Waverly couldn't come too. Waverly tried to stow away in Donald's kit bag, but that didn't work. Waverly tried to stop Donald from leaving, but that didn't work either. "Cat," said Donald, "you have to stay here. My flatmates will look after you while I'm away." But Waverly didn't understand what Donald was saying. Waverly wanted Donald to stay. He told Donald this, but Donald didn't understand a word that Waverly said. Waverly followed Donald until he couldn't follow no further, for even a cat couldn't keep up with the train. Poor Waverly. What would he do without his best friend? One by one, his other friends disappeared. A new postman came to Morningside, and he didn't like cats. And old Miss McLennan moved away, and all her kitties vanished. One day at the castle, there was a huge bang from the 1 o'clock gun, and Waverly never went back. But worst of all, Donald's house was knocked down, and just like that, Waverly was homeless. Edinburgh is full of places for a cat to live, but there's no shortage of people who love cats. However, Waverly didn't want to live anywhere without Donald. Home was where Donald was, wherever that might be. So Waverly went to the station and waited and waited and waited. Soon, people began to notice the lonely little cat on platform 2 at Waverly Station. They called him Waverly because they thought that that was his home. But Waverly knew home was where Donald was, wherever that may be. People took photographs and brought him food. But even though he was desperately lonely, Waverly wouldn't let anyone pick him up. Nobody, that is, except Donald. The station manager allowed Waverly to sleep in his warm office overnight. The cleaners shared their breakfast with him. Best of all, once a week, a kindly train driver let Waverly help him drive the train. Together they traveled up and down the highlands. Waverly peered out the window, wondering where Donald had gone. Was he in that forest or on top of that mountain? Waverly missed his best friend more and more with each passing season. This went on for many years until one day, on his way to platform 2, Waverly heard a familiar voice. "Spare change?" the voice said. "Spare a few pence for the homeless?" There, sitting at the top of station steps, was Donald. Waverly ran, weaving through feet, dodging suitcases, until at last he was in front of his friend. "Meow," he yelled, and he jumped into Donald's lap, purring and turning in circles and winding his tail around and around like a furry propeller. People stopped and stared. Nobody had ever seen Waverly do that before. "Look," they said, "that must be the man who belongs to Waverly." "Meow," said Waverly, "I'm so glad you're home." But there was something wrong with Donald. His face was all wet, and Waverly could hardly understand a word his friend was saying. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter one single bit. As he curled up to Donald's lap, Waverly knew that he was home at last. The end. We have so much more to learn and to grow. Be blessed. Visit the Cat, 5 Little Bunnies by Kimberly and James. Read to you today by Gammy.